Welcome back to the Prop Shop, guys, where I'm going to show you today how you can make Hawkeye's bow from the Avengers. See, looks pretty cool. Hold it wrong. Pew. But throughout this project, I'm going to be using a variety of tools. And don't be daunted, don't be discouraged or anything, because you can make this with very simple tools. All you need is a craft knife or two, some sanding instruments, sanding sticks to be exact. I'll show you how to make these in a minute. And then you need some foam. And to stick that foam together, you can use our good old-fashioned contact cement, our favorite adhesive. So I'm gonna use some other tools. Let me show you the other things I use throughout this project. Let's get into that right now, right before we get into the build, so you can do it like I did. So the knives, it also has some sanding sticks of a wide variety of grits. Yep, much like that. And we're also going to use a rotary tool. That's pretty important. Some string for the rope, a hot glue gun, you'll see why, and some Plasti-dip to seal the whole prop, because that's what I generally use. And of course, we're going to use some foam and a variety of grits, 6mm and 2mm to be exact. Now we're also going to use a gallon of contact cement, or just go with this little cute guy. You can come with a cute little brush. So off camera, I cut out two pieces of 10mm EVA foam. We're going to go ahead and stack them on top of each other so we can kind of bulk up the grip of our bow and arrow. Now we're going to go ahead and apply some contact cement, and the contact cement, you apply it to both sides, let it dry, and then stick them together. And they're going to be held basically forever. So let's go ahead and speed up this process because it's just kind of glowing. Now that we have two of the layers glued down, we can go ahead and start tracing out our pattern onto the EVA foam. It's also important to note that we're going to go ahead and bulk up the top and bottom part so it does look like the bow and arrow has a notch in it, just like they're kind of supposed to. So just like I said, we're going to go ahead and cut out the top portion of the bow and arrow to kind of bulk it up. And we're going to do the same exact thing to the bottom, and of course we're going to use contact cement to glue it all together. Now we can begin to cut out the third layer that's going to sit on top of the two layers to make this one solid piece. Now we're going to cut out the bulk of the prop next. And since it is 2 layers thick, just remember it's going to take a few passes with the X-Acto knife to get through 20mm of EVA foam. Now by simply laying our third layer on top, we can go ahead and mark where our glue is supposed to go. We're going to go ahead and mark it right here and right here. And then, you guessed it, more glue. Half of making a prop is waiting for glue to dry, so we're going to skip past this part. We're just fast forward. Alright, so we got the bottom on glued on. Grip is feeling pretty good. We're going to have to shape that in a little bit, but I want to show you guys how I actually put on the top part right here. So I have my contact cement on both sides, and you legitimately just stick it down. It's gonna have a bond here that kind of stays for basically ever. So we're gonna speed through the rest of this, and yeah, right on to the next part. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use a sharpened brass tube to poke a hole into the middle of the pieces, and hopefully I can get my knife in there and kind of cut them out with a little bit of a sawing motion. I hope this works, and I might have a lot of cleanup to do, but it's kind of worth it because I don't know any other way to do it. So let's fast forward here a little bit. Now that all those pieces are cut out in the same exact way, we can use the Dremel to smooth out the edges because we're going to throw some 2mm foam to hide these seams. I think I'll switch to an orbital sander because it's a little faster. I went ahead and used my smaller blade because that's a little bit easier to handle with the smaller holes in the bottom. And there you have it. Success, but a lot of cleanup to do. So yeah, there's that. So as you can see, I have all my sandpaper right here. We're going to go ahead and run through the grits, starting from the lowest to the highest, and knock it down as much as we can. Hopefully we can clean up all these holes to make them look nice and neat. After all that's done, we're going to go ahead and do the same exact thing to all the outside edges to make it a little bit rounded. So like I said earlier, these seams are going to need to be covered. So we're going to go ahead and start to measure out how thick the bow actually is. It has two different thicknesses. Then we have to measure how long our bow is with a nice little fabric ruler right here. Get one of those too, super helpful. And now we have to measure the layers out so we can go ahead and cover the rod we're actually going to stick through it. So we got 1, 2, 3, and we're going to go ahead and draw a line. After that, we got another line. That's 1, 2, 3-ish. But it's the same thing. So we're going to go ahead and draw another line. Then I'm going to realize that the lines are the whole shape of my ruler. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a ruler and draw another ruler. My little trick. Go ahead and start to cut everything out with 1, 2, 3. Well, yeah, you get the gist. It's 4 layers because we're gonna stick one on one side of the rod and one on the other side of the rod. Yeah, 4 layers. After all cut out, ta-da! Now, time for glue. You're gonna go ahead and apply contact cement to both sides of the actual little things that we have and the rod itself. The contact cement sticks very well to these little rods. I'm going to go ahead and apply it to the actual bow itself where everything is supposed to go. And then guess what? After that, we're going to go ahead and start to stick everything together. Who would have guessed it? But yeah, we're going to go ahead and glue everything together. Let's speed through this part because a little boring. So after we get everything all glued together, we're on to my favorite part of the entire prop, which is the wood burner. Now this wood burner is going to get some really good detail in the actual hand grip itself. It's going to get a lot of the lines in there and everything. It's just really going to finish the prop. So we're going to go ahead and just speed this up a little bit of ASMR wood burning on foam. It's going to be a fun time. So the rods I have here are actually armature wire, but since I work at Taco Bell, we get promotions every month and we have little lawn signs that I currently cannot put up in my town because the township restricts it. So now I'm gonna go ahead and put them on props. So we're gonna go ahead and bend these in the shape of a bow, or a reflex bow actually at that point. And after that, we're gonna go ahead and cut the excess off, and I'll show you exactly how I do that with the cutoff wheel of my Dremel. Now positioning this was a little difficult, but just make sure it's centered. So real quick for you guys, after I put both the arms on, I realized that this right here is not going to be sturdy enough to hold it. It kind of collapses under its own weight. So I really don't want it to have to happen. I thought it was just going to bend back and kind of work like a bow and arrow. I was completely wrong. So what I did to fix the situation is I cut more of the metal and I just kind of jammed it into the front of it right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and glue it down like this so it'll keep it nice and stiff. I hope. So let's get to that, and then I'll show you what the next step is, because after this we just have to hide all the seams. I'll speed through that, and then yeah, we're on to painting and priming, which is right around the corner. So let's get this done first and make it a little bit more sturdier. Okay, let's do it. Now a heat gun is used to seal the foam, kind of make the prop ready for painting. Now we're going to go ahead and use some sanding sticks to knock down all the edges and make everything nice and rounded. If you want to see how I use the Alex Fast Dry to actually seal up all the edges, let me down in the comments below and I'll make a video on how to seal some edges. After everything's all sanded, we can go ahead and apply some few layers of Plasti-dip. So now that we got some layers of Plasti-dip on here, I think it was about 2.5 to be exact. Yeah, 2.5. Let's go with that number. Sounds like a good one. So now what we have to do is string the bow, and now we'll all be done. So for that, instead of using actual bowstring, because this is a foam prop and it's not really going to work out the way you want to if you actually try to use it as a functional bow, we're going to use some paracord that I picked up from the dollar store. Super cheap, and they didn't have black, so I'm going to go with this grayish color. I'm also colorblind, so I think it's gray. We're going to go with that. And in order to attach it, we're just going to go ahead and use our handy dandy heat gun. Stick it right on there, and we'll be done. So let's go ahead and do that first. It's not sticking the way I want it to. So I'm actually going to put some hot glue right over top of it. This is the back of the prop anyway. You're not really going to see it. So let's hope it's not going to make too much of an issue. And to the bottom. And I just kind of cut this to, oops, probably should have let that dry first. Let's skip ahead till I actually have this thingy on. And there you have it. Well, this guy's a little big and kind of hard to see on camera, but it's all finished up. This is Hawkeye's bow from the Avengers. Now, a couple things I actually really liked about this prop is the fact that I've never made a bow before, and honestly, this was a lot of fun. I'm probably gonna make some more. Maybe one from the Eternals, maybe one from, I don't know, haven't really decided yet. Or maybe Maya and the 3. That bow looks pretty cool too. But there are a couple things I dislike about this, and a couple things that I learned. What I learned and dislike about this is the fact that I should have put a rod going through this entire piece right here, instead of having a rod here and a rod down here and kind of mismatching rods kind of willy-nilly like. I should have thought ahead and really planned for it, but I didn't. That's unfortunately my fault. Another thing is I need to find a better way to get into these little holes right here. All these little holes could be a lot better, could be a lot cleaner. I just haven't figured out a way to do it yet, so I'm gonna work on doing that in the future. But like I said, this is it. I mean, I know the string isn't good, but whatever. I wanted to get the prop done because I have ideas for other props. But that's gonna bring it to the end of the video for me, guys. I'm gonna take this guy, hang him up there with Stormbreaker. He's gonna join Stormbreaker, Iron Man, and yeah, a couple of the other Marvel props I got up there. But like I said, that's it for me, guys. Stick around to my channel. Check out a lot of my other videos, a lot of my other Marvel builds. If you did like this one, if you want to make your own, go right ahead, follow along, and yeah, that's it. Until the next time, guys, stay crafty, my friends.